My name's Tim George, and I'm the Chief of Police for the Medford Police Department here in Medford, Oregon. It's different here than it is in other locations because we are in the eye of the storm. We are swimming in marijuana. We are marijuana central, so to speak. No one produces better marijuana or more marijuana than we do. I stood here a couple of years ago on a DEA case in a drying room of 1,000 pounds of marijuana. I mean, it was toxic to even stand in there. I went to college. I was certainly exposed to marijuana use. I mean, Cheech and Chong, I think, made a concert appearance at the college I was attending. So as far as law enforcement is concerned, since probably 98 is when you really saw the change in the medical marijuana limits. They changed from, I think the limit was 1.5 ounces when it first started to 1.5 pounds. So the limits changed. The number of participants grew, and now, prior to Measure 91, essentially, at least in this area, was the equivalent of legalization. It's been no secret that the number of patient cards in Jackson County ranked number 2 out of 36 counties in Oregon, followed only behind Multnomah County, which is the major population area in the state. So we either have a lot of very sick people in Southern Oregon, you got a lot of people gaming the medical marijuana system, and I think in Josephine County, which is the Grants Pass, just the northwest, the little community of Williams has had I want to say one out of every 8 people in Williams is a card holder. I mean, I guess it's the population of that community. I don't quote me on that, but I think Williams, Oregon, at least in Southern Oregon, had the tag as having the highest concentration of medical marijuana cards for the population base. But maybe we were a little asleep at the wheel. I think once it got to a certain level, then it became, pretty obvious that there were card stacking and our marijuana is being exported to other non-medical marijuana states. That's when it became the issue that we thought, my God, it's a pretty uncontrolled program where people can go see someone that they've never seen before, and in 20 minutes they get this paperwork filled out on a prescription that they're eligible for a medical marijuana card, and then they can start growing weed and possessing weed, and then you get a bunch of people together like that, and then you're getting into situations. Again, not everybody. I've said this all along, that if there was someone that needed marijuana for a true medical issue, I'd be the first one to help them get it. We didn't become the engine until after medical marijuana became in effect. I mean, we weren't the engine when weed was illegal. There were prior to medical marijuana, there were large outdoor marijuana grows on public lands that there was substantial law enforcement energy to try and combat on Forest Service land, on BLM land, and that was occurring prior to the medical marijuana piece. But once medical took off and the yields got to where they could actually produce and they could card stack and try and do this lawfully under the medical marijuana plan and have 65 cards in one location and grow 400 plants and have a substantial yield to actually, in effect, commercially produce marijuana, that's when we became marijuana central. And that's been within the last probably 5 to 7 years, probably, when that kind of took off. And that's kind of where we're at now. But now that the legalization has come in with 91 and there's an opportunity for people to actually get into commercial production of marijuana, that I think you're going to see us become the mecca of marijuana for Oregon because of the outdoor grow season, because of the temperate climate here, and because of our experience with folks that are down here already growing it. Because you got people that have had plenty of time and grade, so to speak, as marijuana experts and growers in this field. We got plenty of them here, and they produce, from what people tell us, a very high grade product that is sought after and demands a high price. So yeah, I think you're gonna see that continue, at least from what we're hearing. Marijuana wouldn't be considered our biggest threat level by any means, because we're dealing with a huge problem with methamphetamine. We're seeing a huge creep back with heroin right now. So a lot of heroin cases, and the drug trafficking organizations that used to be involved in large outdoor marijuana grows on public lands really, there's not a whole lot of need for that down here because there's so many folks that can grow it themselves or grow in these co-op grows with the number of medical marijuana folks that have that ability. That really, there are certainly money laundering cases. I think that are one of probably the unknowns out there. Total amount is how much marijuana is exported from this region by by individuals to other non-medical or non-recreational states. So I think that's an issue as far as the exportation of marijuana back and forth. But as far as the actual time, we certainly spent a lot more time on methamphetamine, heroin, and other instances as far as the impact that I see on a daily basis. But I'm not so sure that there's going to be an increase in exportation with recreational. I think that you might see, well, again, it's yet to be seen, but I think the issue is going to be the potency of the products for sale, because specifically when you're talking about extracts or concentrates or items of for sale on the retail level, I think that's the concern for law enforcement, because now you're talking about products that may have a THC content. Some of the honey oils or the shatters or some of those really high-end concentrates that could have a THC level up in the 90% range versus some of the marijuana THC contents down in the 20 to 30% range. So the THC content really sky high in that, and the potency of the product sold, I think that's going to be the issue for us on the recreational side and the dispensary side, as opposed to recreational marijuana folks being involved in exportation. But we'll see. Prohibition has come to an end as far as marijuana is concerned in Oregon, and that is true. The train has left. The public has spoken. What's the impact to communities? What's the impact to public safety? I mean, you can go on YouTube right now and learn how to make BHO honey oil and watch the videos, and you can click on YouTube and learn how to do just about anything, whether it's legal or illegal. Some of that stuff is pretty volatile. I mean, you're talking about when you're using butane for some of those processes, the explosiveness of their propane or whatever else that you could use to try and make an extract or a concentrate. Some of that stuff is extremely volatile, and you're talking about a huge public safety threat to, especially in dense housing areas and urban areas where people could be experimenting with that and causing explosions and fires and everything else, trying to manufacture a product they shouldn't even be messing with. So this grand experiment has a lot of tentacles to it, and you're going to see a lot of things that people are going to say, whoa, wait a sec. That's not what our founding fathers had in mind, so to speak. When things morph a little bit, and you're seeing a piece of it right now. Hang on, and even the indoor side of it too. I mean, my gosh, the ability and the yields and the things you can do now that you couldn't do even 10 years ago. So there's no way I'm going to say that marijuana's the biggest threat out there. It's not. Marijuana is just a thing that's happened, and it's changed, and we'll see. I'm not a pro marijuana guy. I don't think there's any honor in bringing more drugs into a community. I don't think that people and the rest of the state realize how much marijuana is being produced and how much is being exported and how much yield could come from one plant. I mean, you're talking about one 8-foot plant in Southern Oregon right now, because you folks happen to be down here at this time of year, and this is the harvest time right now. This is the harvest festival, so to speak, of marijuana. You're talking about 6 to 8 pounds of marijuana off a 10 to 12-foot plant. That's a lot of marijuana. And unfortunately, it's about commerce now when you get into those kind of yields. It's about how much, there's a lot of people coming, as in a gold rush time, coming here going, wow, there's some money to be made here. And that's really how this explosion of the marijuana industry in Southern Oregon really kind of took off. And that's really the basis for it was there was an opportunity for those folks to, and again, they were growing more than they should have. And when you exceed those limits, then you're going to do something with that product, and that product's got some substantial monetary value to it. If you can export your product and triple the cost, or triple the price, and maybe worth, right now, marijuana is really cheap right here because it's harvest time and we're swimming in marijuana, so the price is down. But later on this winter, when people have to move it indoors because it's wintertime, the price is going to go up. It's like anything else. It's like gasoline. It's like soybeans. It's like peg bellies and everything else. If there's a lot of it, the price is down. If there's not very much of it, the price goes up. Our marijuana at $800 to $1,000 a pound in Medford, if you could export that to states that are not medical marijuana or recreationally legal states, you could probably triple your price and make some serious money. I guarantee you that in law enforcement circles, I'm sure law enforcement is very familiar in other states with Oregon in this scenario because they see it coming their way, and they're certainly familiar with it when they get involved in it at their end. And that Oregon has a reputation for one, being a medical marijuana state and now a recreational marijuana state, and two, that we do export our product. I shouldn't say we, I should say they. The folks that are involved in the criminal activity exporting their product do so, and other states end up receiving it. If we're shipping our excess weed to Portland and selling for $79 an ounce, then we're swimming in it, man. That's cheap.